In yesterday's video, I chatted about the importance of finding some sort of structured sequence or some sort of formalized way to complement the trial and error of learning certain kinds of skills. And today's focus is going to be kind of granularly zooming in on a piece of that relates to speaking and the many myriads of forms of skills that speaking is. Speaking is not just a singular skill. So when I brought up the example of when I asked teachers what had they done to improve at teaching or to be sure that they're teaching and improving at teaching as best they can, one of the categories from which I kind of wish I would have heard more examples come from is what are they doing to be continuously improving at their speaking skills. I remember early on I was actually drawn to, it was a pretty cool idea for an event. It was like 3 minutes back-to-back presentations by professors of people who've been doing research for many years on a subject, talking about their research to try to help people on the campus be aware of what else is going on the campus. Are there connections between researchers? Are there opportunities there for maybe joint projects in the future? And what surprised me most about this was here were people who literally their job is to profess, they're professors, they're professional speakers, and yet a few of them, a handful, not all, not a majority, it's not ragging on teachers and professors, but some of them somehow would be rambling on for 7 minutes in a 3-minute slot, which means that they're obviously being inconsiderate and disrespectful of the time of everyone in attendance, of the peers who were getting pushed off the schedule. And how does someone whose job it is to speak professionally not prepare better, not time themselves, not practice, not be aware enough to make the most of a very specific allotment of time? That just sort of blew my mind. And I think one of the reasons why is because speaking is a lot of different kinds of skills. If someone's trying to speak to be a salesperson, if someone's trying to speak to be a entertainer, if someone's speaking to be fair, an educator, there's different ways and patterns of speaking and types of arranging or planning speaking to suit those different purposes. They're not all the same. Now, just like any other type of skill, right, if you invest time and energy into improving at pixel art and at composing music and at programming and at level design, you can improve in all these areas. You may still have a core strength, but you can improve in all of those. It's not like you have to pick a single one and decide that therefore you can't also improve at these other things. There's often a lot of sort of synergy between learning multiple kinds of speaking, that someone who can also be an entertaining speaker can find ways to make educational type speaking reach a much larger audience. That someone who is an effective salesperson type speaker, while not everyone's necessarily in sales, part of what's great about that is that that has a foundation of persuasion, a foundation of motivating action from people in a way that can also be used for education, for coaching, for other kinds of areas of life, for talking people to get the most out of themselves, right? Encouraging and coaching, again, are a form of, in some ways, sales speaking. It's part of why you hear so much overlap in those fields. But it's people who have a way that they can speak that they know in a very succinct period of time can get a hook and keep someone's attention, resonate with them. And I mention this today because in looking at how you might improve your skills, sometimes we focus on skills like programming, like level design, like music composition, like pixel art. And obviously these are skills to practice, but communication's at the utmost of almost every discipline, regardless of what field you're in, regardless of what way you're involved in making games, if you're making games, or otherwise. Almost any profession, right? It's going to be something where it's at the crux of how you relate to your coworkers, how you relate to potentially your employees, potentially your contractors, potentially your boss, potentially your clients, whatever it might be. It's always going to be at the forefront of people's first impression, of people's ongoing connection to you and your knowledge, of your ability to navigate the skills you're developing. The hard skills in terms of hard, not like difficult, but hard as in you can see the tangible results, to results that are going to reach people. They're going to come through improving various forms of your speech. And so I mentioned today just again to raise awareness of sometimes it's just about knowing, realizing that there's even these other areas to dig into. That it's not just one kind of speech to practice, that it's not just one kind of speaking technique or one sort of source of how to become a better speaker. It's worthwhile to study various forms of speaking, public speaking, group speaking, like I say, motivational or sales speaking or otherwise, can be tools in your tool belt to draw upon when and if they're fit for the situation at hand. And, you know, we're in a Game Keto shirt. We had our Game Keto Club meeting a couple days ago. But one of the things I want to connect this back to is that that's something that in our practice group is actually one of the types of practice people are getting. That they're getting practice not only navigating development challenges within the team, but also as project leads, they're on a weekly basis practicing giving updates to the whole rest of the group. It's the same sort of thing that when people are in university or otherwise, they're often positioned to be speaking to the rest of their class. And that's a form of practicing their speaking because it's such a core skill for whatever path someone's at. So we've got our format for doing it. Same sort of reason people join Toastmasters. Same sort of reason people benefit from business programs and otherwise often has to do with just practice presenting, because at the end of the day, That's what's going to help you be able to pay attention to your preparation techniques, to be able to begin the kind of things we talked about last time of, okay, now you can actually seek the feedback of people who listen to you. Now you can actually become more a little self-aware about where is and isn't your previous experience of trial and error getting you what you want out of your ability to speak. That's the thought for the day. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have an everybody fail tomorrow.